However, there are 4 or 5 things I want to go through. First of all, it's very scammy. Huge hype always precedes big technological paradigm shifts. I'll come back to these slides, don't worry. The Metaverse, when eventually that takes off in 15 years or whatever, it'll be completely NFT driven. And then real world tokenization is where the fun's at. But the big elephant in the room at the moment is that pretty much all NFTs are 99.99999% bullshit, shams and scams, or scams and shams. I'll kick off the night with our 100-long Disaronno lemonade train. Classier version than Jaeger bombs, obviously. But yeah, let's get into NFTs. So, for basically the entire human history, art has always been something that you've done on a wall or a building of some sort, a structure. Whether you're building big old Neolithic faces on Easter Island or you're doing the Sistine Chapel. That has been art for nearly all of human history. Then new technology arrived. So in the 16th century, sailing became a technology which is quite advanced. And they came up with new sails and new canvases, etc. So in the 16th century, they came up with a new material, which is what we now know as the canvas. They used it as sails, and then some clever chap thought, why don't we just put it on some planks of wood, stretch it out, then you can draw stickmen on it and stuff. I always wonder if people did stickmen back in the day, and before you know it, we then had art. Art had a massive revolution where we started painting on canvases, like the Mona Lisa, etc., etc. And by the way, that took a long time to come into fruition. There was about a 10-year period where everyone's like, art on paper, on canvases, it'll never take off. And then, as we now know it, art has always been on canvas. And throughout history, there's been so many revolutions where everyone has gone, this is rubbish, this is never going to take off. So we had the telegraph in the UK. So the UK was the first system which had a national grid of or telegraph transmitters. So it's where Morse code was transmitted. We had the phone eventually. Everyone loved that. There wasn't that much poo-pooing of that. However, in the 1990s, some clever companies came up with the mobile phone. And guess what? Everyone said, no one's going to walk around with a bloody suitcase or one of these big bricks. I've got my home phone. Does everyone used to remember you used to have a little table for your home phone? Yes, I remember that. And you know, those circular things. And if you ever want to have a bit of a giggle, give one of those dial-up phones, the spinny things, to someone that's under the age of 18 and say, call someone. It's hilarious. they don't know how to do it. Josh, do you know? You do, yeah, but you're a clever guy. You've got a clever mum there. So, yeah. No one believed in mobile phones. And guess what? Everyone's got a mobile. But you're a bit of a weirdo if you don't. And you're still a bit of a weirdo if you're carrying around like a Nokia or a BlackBerry or an iPhone. No. Sophisticated people have Android. No, I'm joking. And it's the same with computers. So Alan Turing, during World War II, he came up with the computer as we know it. It was literally the size of a room like this, and then it got a bit more compact. And we even had people like Bill Gates saying, no one will need more than 637 kilobytes of memory for a personal computer. The head of IBM said the world will need no more than 5 computers in the whole world. That was the CEO of IBM, but that was way back in the day. And guess what? We have computers everywhere. And it's the same with the internet. We even have gaming computer cafes. The internet was the same thing. Bill Gates even said, again, the internet is just a passing fad. The internet, we're not interested in it. And he wasn't the only one. So as you all know, the internet was created by physicists in Hawaii. They wanted to basically communicate data between other physicists. And then Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web, January 1983. And it took a long time to basically get going, right? It took 23 years to get 1 billion users, but for the first 10 years, I mean, does anyone remember, well, I was probably a bit different. But AOL used to have these CDs with like 50 hours of free. I used to go around collecting buying magazines or getting my parents to buy a magazine for these 100 hours of free stuff. And then like you'd be on the internet, and then someone rings the house, your mum picks up the phone in another room, and the internet cuts out. I mean, this is how crazy the internet was back then. And I'd be chatting to random strangers on AOL chat, MSN chat, I think, or whatever. And everyone was like, what's the internet for? Like, who actually wants to chat to random strangers? I did. But fast forward to now, this is literally every internet user on a daily basis. You can't see on this screen, but there are little sine waves showing day and night this way. But yeah, the internet is everywhere, and I don't think there's any facet of life that doesn't incorporate the internet. And 20 years ago, if you said the internet will be everything and everyone will have it and everyone will live and won't be able to live without it, you would have been laughed at. But we're having the same conversation right now with NFTs. People just don't understand it. It's way too early. And right now, it's who wants to buy stupid JPEGs for tens of thousands of dollars, which I could come on and right-click on here, click Save As, and then use that as my profile picture if I wanted to. So what if I don't own it? And I completely get it, because I sort of didn't really understand NFTs for a good 3 months, and I thought, this is stupid. But the fact there was a massive hype bubble around NFTs pinged my radar. So I like to have a nice peripheral vision of everything. And if something is consistently pinging up in my peripheral, I then focus on it for a bit. And this is what's happened with NFTs. But just like the mobile phone, the internet, computers, art, etc., this is going to be the next thing. It's going to be bigger than the internet was. Think of the internet as a layer 1 or layer 0. This is the next layer up, layer 1 on top of the internet. Everything will be tokenized, pretty much. And all of the fun stuff as a result of that will be mind-blowing. So just give it 10 years, and you'll see what's likely to happen. However, there are 4 or 5 things I want to go through. First of all, it's very scammy. Huge hype always precedes big technological paradigm shifts. I'll come back to these slides, don't worry. The Metaverse, when eventually that takes off in 15 years or whatever, it'll be completely NFT driven. And then real world tokenization is where the fun's at. But the big elephant in the room at the moment is that pretty much all NFTs are 99.99999% bullshit, shams and scams, or scams and shams. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't like it to begin with, and why loads of people have basically just dismissed it. And the reason I dismissed it straight away is because I saw the trading element behind it, which no one really picked up on. And it's basically where people have been washing the tape. So if I was a pretty wealthy, or let's say I was in a group of other immoral and unethical investors that wanted to game the shit out of everyone, this is how you do it. And I saw straight through this in day one. I would go onto Fiverr or Upwork, get some artist in Bangladesh to create 100 new cartoons of something. I would pay bugger all, I know, $100, $500, doesn't matter. I'd have 100 little pictures of different, I don't know, weird whales or something. I would then tokenize it. I would then basically turn it into an NFT, and then I'd put it onto OpenSea, which is the main NFT marketplace. And I would go, hey, here is my collection of, I don't know, mad monkeys. But just doing that is like opening up a business. If any business owners here, just setting up a business doesn't mean you're going to make money. It's like opening up a lemonade stand in the middle of the Sahara Desert. You need footfall, you need roads to lead to your lemonade stand. It's the same thing. Any one of us could draw a picture, put it up on OpenSea, and you'll get 0 attention. But this is where the unethical thing comes along. So if this was let's say it was myself. Before I did that, just to have some sort of track record, I would, in the preceding months to it, I would create 30, 50 different crypto wallets. And I would fund them with a whole bunch of different things. And in each wallet, I would do transactions. I would buy stuff, I'd buy ENSs, I'd buy all sorts of stuff, just to make sure that these 30 to 50 wallets had some sort of activity. It would be buying random bits and bobs. just to create even more shamminess. I would then release this 6 months later, and what would I do? I would simply buy and sell this bullshit NFT to myself. So I'd start the floor price at 0.1 ETH. I'd get one wallet to buy it at 0.2 ETH, and then it would sell it to another wallet for 0.3 ETH, etc., etc. And I would just buy and sell it. Now, the result of doing this is that I am personally manipulating the chart of my Mad Monkeys thing. And I wouldn't make it a straight line, because that would just be too obvious, right? I'd create mini crashes in it. I would, make it look like an actual chart. So I'd buy it, a high price, I'd sell it to another wallet of mine for a lower price, yada, 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 and manipulate the price. This is basically called washing the tape. And then I would, because the prize goal is a lot of money here, it wouldn't hurt to pay some journalists or PR companies to write a piece about Mad Monkeys, or I would pay a celebrity to have one Mad Monkey. I'd give, I don't know, Justin Bieber, here's 10 Mad Monkeys for free, just tweet about it, or whatever. I'd pay, I'd be happy to pay 100 grand just to promote it. Because eventually, Tweedledum and Tweedledee will pop along and go, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this for 100 ETH, or something stupid like that. They'd buy it, and I'd wash my hands and go, ha, idiot, done. And I'd walk away into the sunset, £1 million up or whatnot. So the problem this then gives me as a criminal, basically, is, I'll come back to that. And so only a handful of Ethereum whales own most NFTs. 4 out of 5 NFTs are owned by, I think there's 16 wallets that have 80% of all of the volume in the NFT marketplace. It's absolutely crazy. But here's the issue. My Mad Monkey collection has now made me $1 million in profit. That's a taxable thing, isn't it, Steve? So I would then have to be slightly cheeky to try and, okay, how can I get out of this tax? Now, obviously, every country has different tax codes, etc., etc. But generally, it's more or less the same thing. So what I could then do is, so I've got the £1 million profit, right? I will then go, I would set up another NFT, which I would buy, I'd launch it at $1 million for one NFT or whatever. Or in parallel, I'd be doing this bugging out project, if that makes sense, to the point where this other project is also a crazy price. I'll take my £1 million profit from the idiot that just gave me £1 million from my Mad Monkeys thing, and then I'd go and buy my other project, which is also quite high in price, and then what I would do is simulate a crash. I'd let this other project drop in price 99.99%, something like this, and I'm just going to FOMO out of this and sell down here. So I've bought something up here for £1 million, sold it down here for a quid. Guess what? I have a massive tax write-off here. I've now made no profits, or even minus profits, but guess what? I've still got the £1 million because I've just been selling it to myself and back. So I've conned some poor person out of $1 million worth of NFTs or whatever, and then I've manipulated a full-on market crash, along with all my other buddies who are immoral and unethical, to then do a massive tax write-off. Wow. And we're seeing this now, by the way. This is happening in real time. Most NFTs have crashed 92%. And even Justin Bieber bought this Bored Ape for $1.31 million, one picture, and it's now worth 74 grand. And this person bought Jack Dorsey's first ever tweet for $2.9 million. He bought a tweet. Now, I'm a bit of a yob. I'm not very cultured, but I don't see how, I just don't understand. I still don't understand that. And I've spent a lot of time researching NFTs. But yeah, this tweet is now worth $6,800.
Expensive screenshot.
Yeah, expensive screenshot. Or has this person just done a tax job? I don't know. Has he just written off all of his profits? Did he? Yeah, I don't know. It is a bit of a, musical chairs type thing. And at the moment, the music's stopped, and people haven't realized the music has stopped. Sit on that bloody chair quickly if you've got NFTs. Get rid. Oh no, not financial advice. Not saying to get rid of your NFTs, but but I would. So, as I said, huge hype always precedes big technological paradigm shifts. Now, I just need to check the room. Who here has no idea about crypto? Because we have some guests. One, okay. I'd say 5. Cool.
I don't know what an NFT is.
I'm about to explain it.
All right.
There we go. Yeah, I'm just checking. So an NFT is a non-fungible token, which is even crazier. Like, okay, what the hell is a non-fungible token? Let's break it down even more, because you've got all these terms. What is a token? What does fungible mean? So the way that I look at this, and I'm sorry if you've RT students, you've heard me say this before, I always think of a vending machine. So a vending machine is basically a big old machine with some contracts in it. It's if this happens, then do this. So if I want my Snickers bar, there's no, here we go. And let's say that's row B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, B7, let's call it. So I'll go in and put, I don't know, £1 in, click B7, and I've then fulfilled the contract. Because in this machine, there's a thing saying, if someone puts £1 in and selects B7, I'm going to spit out this Snickers bar. And then it's going to get stuck on the window, and then I'm going to allow a certain amount of shaking. No, but this is a contract. That's all it is. It's just any vending machine is just full of teeny-weeny contracts. So imagine if you shrunk that contract thing down into an online thing, okay? So this is an online thing with a contract. You can make this contract be whatever you want it to be, okay? And this thing lives on the internet. Or if you want to be more precise, it lives on a blockchain. Now, if you're not familiar with a blockchain, just imagine a massive Google spreadsheet that everyone can see, that everyone can add to it, etc. So this is basically a little contract that lives on a big global Google spreadsheet. So what's your name, sir?
Bill.
Bill. So I could, let's do a loan contract. Ooh, okay. So I love doing private loans. So what we could do, let's say I wanted to borrow £1 million off Bill. What we could do, and we wanted to NFT this, I wanted to take all of the risk out of it, etc. We could create an NFT with a smart contract in it, where you lend £1 million, and in that there'll be a certain APR, monthly payment schedule, yada yada yada. But what we could do is make that the payments to you are automatic from this particular wallet. You're also worried about the risk of me not paying, so what this contract could also say is that this wallet must always have at least 6 months worth of payments, interest payments to you, and if at any point in time it doesn't, the contract is voided. Or if I miss a payment, the contract is voided, or etc., etc. So once we do that transaction, it is out of our hands. I have to stick to that contract and to the terms of that contract, and if I don't, I screw up. And that contract will effectively be an NFT, and it will be on the blockchain. Now, the cool thing with NFTs is that these are things which you can move, right? So I've got this debt obligation to Bill, and so Bill effectively owns this NFT, which is a bearing instrument, as in it's a residual income thing. But what if you gave that to your mate, Bob, down the road? All of a sudden, my obligations are now with Bob. So the repayments are always going to this NFT or to your crypto wallet, let's say. So you can sell that. So you'll see in a minute, it just opens up a whole world of different secondary markets. And this is the Gartner hype cycle, or sort of the S curve. And basically all technologies they follow this sort of S curve. It's a weird looking S, obviously. And they do this every year with all sorts of different technologies. And actually, for the first time, because I always disagree with the Gartner hype cycle sometimes, but this is actually quite accurate. So NFTs are here right now. So blue says it will reach the plateau of productivity within 2 to 5 years. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. So we've gone through the bullshit hype phase. Everyone's about to get absolutely burned. And all of your NFTs are going to drop at 90% of value, and most likely never return to their previous highs, by the way. That's my fair warning right now. If you have NFTs, I will be really surprised if they reach your previous highs. I think they're going to, sorry, yeah?
How do you short them?
We can't just yet, but they will. Just give it time. There will be a DEX that pops up where you can short NFTs. But yeah, it's a great shorting opportunity. Because, yeah, and this is where it will basically sort of go out of the public consciousness for a bit whilst everything's crashing. But yeah, there's loads of stuff here, like Metaverse. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. We are nowhere near the Metaverse, and it says here more than 10 years. Yes, congrats, Gartner. I agree, because there's this massive hype going on about Metaverse at the moment. It seems like Zuckerberg is trying to spend all of his net worth into the Metaverse. But yeah, so we've got a fair bit of time, but give it 5 years, and we'll start to see some useful things with NFTs instead of just buying stupid cartoons. Now, the Metaverse. I personally think everyone's got this all wrong. People think that, you know, they're going to... who's watched Ready Player One? Yeah? Okay. If you haven't watched the film Ready Player One, watch it. It's an incredible film. It's Steven Spielberg's latest film. It's been out a few years. It's really good. But I think the world thinks that VR is going to get a bit better, and then we're going to spend 10 hours a day in a virtual reality space. Now, every year, or every 2 years, I always buy the best VR headset money can buy, and it's utter dog shit. Literally, I've got the best one you can buy right now, and it's called the Reverb G2, and it's shit. It's still like looking through two bog rolls, and it's literally this, and everything is so blocky. It's like gaming in the 1990s. It's like playing with a Tamagotchi in VR, like some of the games. Other than the flight sims are actually really good. But even if you were to wave a magic wand and make VR headsets close to real-life resolution, that would be great, and full field of view, that would be great, but it's still missing all the haptic stuff. And I just cannot see. So let's wave a magic wand, right? And we have almost real-life resolution, and you have a full-body haptic suit. I just can't see me getting into this full bloody haptic suit that's going to sweat my balls off in the first 5 minutes, and then sit in this for 7-10 hours a day. It's not going to happen. So I think, personally, the only thing that will make the metaverse explode is when Neuralink, Elon with his Neuralink, or someone else gets the brain-machine interface nailed. That's the only way the metaverse will work, when you have a chip in your brain, you press a button, you effectively go unconscious, and you're then in a whole new world, like you're dreaming, but a bit more realistic. Then you can feel pain, you can feel stuff, you can do whatever, you can have sex with your favorite celebrity. I don't know, and don't forget, like the internet and crypto, porn, gambling, and drugs tends to grow technologies. So imagine if you could just flip a switch, you go to sleep, and you're basically living a dream, and you can actually control the dream, unlike my dreams where I'm trying to sprint and I'm like sprinting in water. Like, I'm always having that dream. Well, I don't know what that means, but yeah, I think the metaverse is going to be absolute poppycock until someone like Elon can do the brain-machine interface. So if you hear the word metaverse, it's rubbish. It is. I think it's absolute poppycock until that happens, because VR tech is a long way away, a long way away. So yeah, eventually they will spend most of their waking days in the metaverse, just like we spend most of our waking days glued to our screens. If you told someone that 20 years ago, they would never believe you. If you go on YouTube and type people bumping into things whilst on their mobile or something like that, the amount of videos out there where people are like falling into rivers and stuff like that because they're texting, so it's hilarious. And in that metaverse, when it eventually happens, everything they buy, create, do, earn, or trade will be in NFT. Everything. So it's a whole new economy. It's a whole new industry. It's a whole new world. I've got young kids. Yeah. So, but this is where the fun is. This is where we can actually see stuff happening in the next 5 years or so, where you can effectively tokenize real-world stuff. And it is the key to unlock anything illiquid. Now, what is illiquid? In the financial sense, or in my sense, it's basically anything of value which is that you can't cash in within, let's say, a week or two. So a house is very illiquid. A business is even more illiquid. I mean, you could sell a house. I mean, now you can probably sell a house like that, but typically it takes months to sell a house, and it takes at least a year to sell a business, because you've got to tart up your business for 6 months, then you've got to whore it out for 6 months, etc., etc. So this is where NFTs completely changes the game. So Savills, so let's take actually the biggest industry, real estate. They valued the global real estate at 3.265 trillion in 2020. Blah, 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 blah. The world's most significant store of wealth, real estate, is more valuable than all global equities and debt securities combined, and almost 4 times that of global GDP. The value of all gold ever mined pales by comparison at 12.1 trillion, at just 4% the value of global property. So it's probably gone up a bit since then. Let's call it $330 trillion in real estate. That's effectively a $330 trillion industry that's locked up and illiquid. And then I looked at how often homeowners move. Wow. That actually shocked me. So the average house transition is 23 years in the UK. And in Europe, it's about the same. In the US, it's a few years quicker than that. That surprises me. I'm a renter. I've moved house loads. So someone basically buys an asset. Well, they get in debt into an asset, and they stay in it for 23 years. That house is effectively locked up. And most houses only remortgage once or twice during that 23-year tenure. So that's a huge market, which if you can make that slightly more liquid, that in itself is going to create multiple billionaires. So here's an example. Here you have a house, 2 up, 2 down house. And let's say there was Rightmove or Zoopla NFT marketplace of some sort. And you could basically chop up your house into 100 tokens. So I imagine what would happen is that you would send in fact, who here knows how to actually prove that you own your house? How do you prove that you own your house?
You got the paper, like deeds.
The deeds, yeah.
Registered, and it's a hassle to
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like a stone age when you speak to solicitors and they send you letters and stuff like that.
Yeah. So showing the paperwork that you're paying the mortgage on a house isn't proof of ownership. It's the title deeds. And a lot of people don't know that. That is how you do that. So I imagine when there is a Zoopla NFT or Rightmove NFT marketplace, there'll be some sort of like upload your documents. So here's my house. I'll scan in my deeds and I'll upload it to the network, and then they'll tokenize it. And you can choose how many tokens. Let's say you're going to chop it up into 100 tokens. Now all of a sudden it becomes very much like company law. Because with a typical company, you have there's 2 main things. You have a SHAG and an SPA. So you have a shareholders agreement and a sale and purchase agreement. Or if you're selling chunks of it, share purchase agreement. There's really 2 main documents there. When you've tokenized your house, it will come with a similar SPA and a similar SHAG. So, the SHAG is quite important because that SHAG needs to explain who lives in the house, who can do stuff to the house, like put a new shelf up, knock the walls down, paint the walls, etc. Who has to maintain the house, etc., etc. And there's going to, I promise you, there will be a beautiful sweet spot where you can own a house, you can live in it, you can do whatever the hell you want with it, and you won't have to own all of it. I reckon you could own 20, it'll probably be like companies law. So I actually think you could probably own 26% of the house, and as long as you have the right drag and tag rights, like with a normal shareholders agreement, you can own, say 25, 26% of your house, but you have full admin rights, as it were. I mean, wouldn't that be good? Because then you still own the house, you can still do whatever you want, and you own it. I think it'll be pretty cool. I'll definitely do that. Because then you don't have to basically blow your load on one house. You could buy 25% of one house to live in it, and that would be your home for your family. And the rest of your money, you can start buying chunks of other houses in your street or in other areas of your town which you think is about to boom. So what then happens is you can then start selling chunks of your house on a marketplace. And it won't be like going to the bloody estate agents and getting surveyors in, or all of that paperwork's already uploaded. You don't need, you can get basically just boot those middlemen out of the way, and then start selling chunks of your house like you do on freaking Bybit. You can get like selling and buying crypto on Coinbase or whatever. Except instead of selling and buying ETH or Bitcoin, you'll be selling chunks of your home. So that's a whole secondary market there. I think when that kicks off, I think there will be loads of eyes on the planning departments in councils, because when the council starts green ticking everything for a new project, people will start buying chunks of any house they can find in those particular areas. I think that's actually quite a virgin space, because imagine, like at the moment, where I'm in Norwich, there's a huge freaking road basically being built from the coast to Norwich and around Norwich. And they're building this big old road through one end of the garden. Now, I'm renting my house, but the landlord is going to get a nice payout from the government, because the government have said, we're building this here, and you're forced to sell this chunk of land. Well, that tends to come at a premium. So, as I said, once this happens, I'm going to start, I don't know, hire someone from a planning department just to keep eyes on big projects like this and start buying up chunks of those areas. Who here is a small business owner or a big business owner? If you're a baller, hands up. Okay, so I'd say 50% of you are business owners, right? So you know the trials and tribulations of being a business owner. It absolutely sucks 99% of the time. 1% of the time, it's glorious. SMEs are the backbone of any nation. As it says here, SMEs are vital to global economy. According to the UN, SMEs worldwide account for 90% of all businesses, 70% of all jobs, and contribute 50% to the global gross GDP, or global GDP. I mean, we are a big deal. I know everyone worships, Amazon and Apple and all that, but it's us mere mortals that actually keep the show on the road. Well, guess what? That's $50 trillion worth of illiquid assets locked up. Buying and sell chunks of your company is hard. It really is hard. So how about we tokenize it? Now, your company is already effectively tokenized. It's already normally 100 shares of £1 ordinary shares. But there is a way to streamline that process. All business brokers are con artists, in my opinion, and I am an angel investor, or I don't do it so much anymore, but like business broker, imagine the scammiest estate agent you can think of, right? Times 10, and that's a typical business broker. I've had nothing but bad experiences with about 10 of them. So that's a massive industry there. If you can create a tokenized, create the Binance for tokenized business tokens. Yeah. And also, it solves the dilemma of trust, NFTs. Like with that loan example, there's so many things that go wrong with loans and stuff, because you have all these questions like, how will I know you'll pay me back? Is your business actually profitable? Because if I'm going to invest in this business or lend to this business, I want to know that I'm going to at least get my principal back. How do I know you're not going to waste my money on cars? Is anyone here a fan of Hex? Good. You are all switched on people. There seems to be a crypto cult. There's a token out there called Hex, and everyone is basically indoctrinated and brainwashed by this guy called Richard Hart. And every time I write about him on Twitter, I get so much hate, it's ridiculous. This guy is literally, part of the fundraise was a sacrifice. Bit dodge. And every single time you see him on Twitter, he's wearing, he always says, oh, look at my $20,000 Armani suit or whatever. And he's always carrying Louis Vuitton bags around London. He's literally, I swear, it's probably, I probably can't put this on YouTube now because it's libel, isn't it? Shit! We're going to have to edit this out. Bradley, edit this bit out. But yeah, how do you know you're not going to take your money and then waste it on silly properties like FTX have done? Oh, by the way, you know FTX? SBF, he got $3 billion as a loan. So FTX took in all the customer funds and just loaned him $3 billion. We don't know what he did with that, but they did use customer funds to buy all those Bahamian, office blocks and stuff like that. I'm not good with words, so. And also, what if you can't pay me back? I mean, these are all the questions that we all think of in business, in general. So I've used this example before, but I think it's the easiest way to explain it. Here is an absolute mess of a coffee shop owner. I mean, just look at this crap here. This is not an efficient coffee shop at all. And let's just say that this lady needed a proper coffee machine instead of having all these urns and squirty bits and whatever. I mean, this is a mess. So what she could do is do an NFT fundraise, right? A risk-free fundraise for herself. So this is her coffee shop. She'll then have to go through a certain filter. Like with, I said, Rightmove, she'll have to... Now, in fact, let's fast forward, I'll come back to this. So let's say there is an NFT GoFundMe website, right? But in order for a business to be on this business GoFundMe, you'd have to put everything relevant in this filter. Now, this filter, if I was running this show, it would be you have to submit all the login details, so give sort of read access only to your Xero or QuickBooks to this site. So there's full optics. You'd have to submit, you know, or any other relevant documents like proof that you actually own this shop, all that sort of stuff. But I think the main things are your accounts, so your QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, whatever. And that way, you also tick that you can make your books over the last 3 years visible to the public. Now, that may scare some people, but if you want this risk-free, if you want this GoFundMe, you're going to have to do it. So she goes, okay, have access to my Xero, blah, blah, blah. This GoFundMe website will tart it all up and have, you know, you'll have this business profile. This is my coffee shop. The last 3 years I've earned this. These are my outgoings. These are my expenditure. Here's my salary, all that sort of stuff. Everything is out in the open. I need to borrow £10,000 to buy a big swanky coffee machine. And that will help my business. I can sell more cups of coffee a lot faster. If I can increase the rate of coffee that I'm making, then it's going to help, blah, 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 blah. But we go through all those questions. How do I know you're going to do this, this, and that? Well, the NFT world completely solves that if you smart contract the shit out of this. So what you then do is you obviously go to the public and go, hey, I need this coffee machine. Now, this website will obviously have all the audience. So these people, it could be one person, it could be 100 people. They then send money to this smart contract. The money never goes to this lady in the coffee shop. She never gets it. Because what happens is the moment this 10 grand is fulfilled, that 10 grand goes straight to the coffee shop manufacturer. And this will all be on the blockchain. And there will be proof. You can see that the money went from that wallet to this coffee shop's digital wallet. And that will have a smart contract built inside the actual machine. So that machine then wings its way straight to the coffee shop. She goes, thanks, everyone. It could be her local community supporting her, for all we know. She could, the local community could just want a better cup of coffee. So she now has a coffee machine, but that's not the end of it. Because this debt, effectively, this loan thing, in fact, it's not GoFundMe, it's a Go Loan Me site. This is not done until everyone gets their principal back plus interest. So how do you bypass the thing of, is she actually going to pay us the interest? Well, it's out of her control, because there will be a digital smart contract in here somewhere, and every single time she sells a cup of coffee, and don't forget, all of the margins will already be on the website. So if she's selling this for £3 and she's making £2 profit, or probably higher, that's profit. Well, all of that profit will be paid to these NFT holders until the principal's paid back plus interest. She doesn't have to do anything. She just does what she's good at, selling coffee. And the second it's all paid off, this then turns off. She's got a brand new machine. It hasn't really cost her anything. And they know from day one it's going to take, I don't know, 200 coffees, or no, 2,500 coffees, let's say, to pay it all back. All great, right? Until you get to this bit here. What if you can't pay me back? Lockdowns could happen, COVID, all that sort of, oh great, I can't put this on YouTube now because I said the bloody C word. That C word used to be a different word. What if you can't pay me back? What if something happens? Well, let's get back to this example here. Part of that contract is a debenture on the business. And so a debenture, the way I always look at a debenture is a mousetrap. You know the game Mousetrap, where the thing traps the mouse? A debenture is basically a mousetrap over the business. So if you screw up this loan and you cannot pay this loan, this smart contract is going to drop a debenture onto your business worth, let's say the loan, etc., is 10 grand. This smart contract is now going to own 10 grand's worth of your business, whether that's 50% of the business or more, all of it, who knows? Because she's screwed up with, I don't know, something's happened, they're not making as many sales, yada, yada, yada. So what then happens is that all these NFT holders that have done this now own a big chunk of the business. Let's say it's 50% of the business. Well, then it turns into a coffee shop DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, whereby they can vote, they can do online votes to vote in a new director. They could even boot her out. They could put in their own director in to run the shop, or it could be a temporary measure. Right, until we're all made whole, we're going to, this DAO, so to speak, is going to put in this person here to make things better, and then you can get your shop back. I mean, there's so many permutations that you could do here. And as I'm talking to you right now, I'm seeing all of these secondary markets, which are billion-dollar markets in itself. I mean, there's a billion-dollar market just with that filter part here. Like, yeah, it's crazy. But there's so many things you can do with NFTs, and I don't want to waste all of your time going through every single thing, but I want to do a few examples. So, tickets. Tickets, you've probably heard this before, but like, when you buy a train ticket or a British Airways ticket, etc., you use it, and it's probably a QR code now, I don't know, and then you have your flight, and then that's it, right? That ticket sits in your email inbox or your BA account forever, and it's completely useless to you. There's no utility there at all, other than getting on the flight, job done. What if that ticket is an NFT? Ooh, okay, how do you create utility value on that? Well, what British Airways could do is every month they could commission an up-and-coming artist, let's say, someone in a lesser economically developed world, let's say. And every month, that artist, or every month that British Airways is going to get some new murals or whatever. And so for the month of January, we're going to have artist X from Nigeria, and every BA ticket is going to be basically, or an NFT, so QR code, NFT, but it's going to have that artwork on it, right? So you do your flight, that's fine, and you'll forget about that flight and the ticket. But what happens if in 10 years' time, artist X becomes an absolute superstar, the next Banksy? All of a sudden, all of those digital artwork on all of these plane tickets, I know however many plane tickets BA sold for that month of January, they're now worth something. Let's say you paid £500 for those plane tickets. There is a possibility that the artwork on that plane ticket is now worth more than your 500 quid, or even at least 100 quid. So there is the potential chance where you could be buying bus, train tickets, any tickets for concerts or whatever, and then in the future, you'll make your money back and more. Hell, what if, let's think of a band. Papa Roach. What if Papa Roach is having a big old gig, right? And they created a secret album of, 6 songs or something, I don't know, or even got an artist to do the same thing for those tickets. You do the concert, it's great. Oh no, even better, I just thought of it. You buy a ticket to Papa Roach, right? You go to the concert, it's great. At the concert, they're filming the whole event, right? They then put that whole event on Spotify. All the NFT holders of those ticket holders will get royalties from every play on Spotify. So on Spotify, each song gets 0.0033 cents per play that makes sense. So I actually worked out, Taylor Swift's got a new album out at the moment. My wife loves it. And I was like, how much money has Taylor Swift made from Spotify? I worked out she's made about $6 million so far. So they get 0.0033 cents per play. Well, let's say that Papa Roach concert was absolutely amazing, and over the years gets billions of views or streams or whatever. All you ticket holders that went there will get a profit share of that, and eventually, hopefully, pay off the price of the ticket. I mean, this is just a way of, I mean, there's so many things that you could do with tickets. For example, I know of a certain project where there could be some very famous artists displaying some stuff at a gallery in London soon, next year, and they'll be selling tickets. And these 5, 10 artists are world-renowned. What if those tickets were NFTs? And what if they got a special grumpy, what if they got one of the main artists to do a special artwork for those tickets? Everyone comes to the gallery to see all the stuff, but all of a sudden you've got an NFT with some fancy artwork there. Hint, hint. Moving on. So, that's an in-joke, don't worry. Reservations, yeah, same stuff. Hotels could do the same thing. Oh, and by the way, here's the kicker. When an NFT is sold, right, the originator gets 10% of net receipts in perpetuity. So Papa Roach, going back to that Papa Roach thing, they record the thing and they put it on Spotify, everyone gets a profit share, blah, blah, blah. Let's say Migs has got a ticket, right? And every year is making, I don't know, £10 a year or whatever from royalties from Papa Roach album or whatever. That's an NFT, right? If Migs then sells it to Alexander, Papa Roach gets 10% of that price. 10%. So going back to the British Airways thing, let's say they get the next Banksy to do, you know, a month's worth of tickets, and then 10 years' time, those tickets are worth an absolute fortune, and everyone starts trading these January BA tickets from Norwich to Amsterdam or whatever. That's KLM, actually. It doesn't matter. Guess what? When people start trading these tickets, BA will get 10% of the profits of every ticket sold. So it's incentivizing the company to actually do this in the first place. Because then that way you can amortize certain costs over a long period of time, potentially. Any form of key. So it could, I mean, this could be help for Airbnbs, I guess. You have electronic code thing, and then someone rents out your Airbnb. You send them the NFT, where it could be a time expiry NFT. So they go to the door, they scan it, access the NFT for a weekend, let's say. Yeah, any form of keys. Like I'm saying in the hotel, I've got a card, right? This could just be an NFT that I have forever. Again, it doesn't have to be art-based. Obviously, everyone's focused on the art thing, but there are so many ways you can spin this. Sorry, Trezel's getting in the way. Sorry, I don't get anywhere without this, especially at the moment. So here's my warning. If shit kicks off and we have to buy the dip today, I don't think it will happen. I will have to pause the cuddle for a bit. Proof of activity. So there are things where you may want to prove that you did something. I don't know, it could be you did a skydive for charity or whatever. That could be an NFT. That's a bit of a lame one, actually. Proof of activity, it could be a degree. You could go to university, you get a degree. Like if you meet a doctor, how do you prove that that person is a doctor, went to medical school for 7, 8 years? Like, there could be a proof of activity there. So your time at university, etc., etc. All online documents could be tokenized. Actual contracts, as I've already spoken about. ID, this is the scary thing where the world is trending towards bloody a dystopian 1984 Orwell type thing where eventually all your ID will be in one centralized place, which seems handy, right? Until you're utterly controlled by that single ID. You know, I was a conspiracy theorist 2 years ago when I said your COVID vaccine passports will be, first of all, that there will be a COVID jab passport and you wouldn't be allowed to travel without it. Guess what's happening now? As of a week ago, I think it was a week ago, G20, they're now in Bali, they're going full steam ahead with this now. They want a centralized jab passport thing, and those without it will not be allowed to move countries. So I was hoping that would die down, but evidently not. So yeah, ID your medical records, everything. So, I mean, and eventually the way things are trending, you're going to have some sort of QR code on your body. You're going to have like a QR tattoo, and it'll be, you know, view access, read only stuff. I mean, it could help in some occasions. Let's say you're involved in a car crash. If you had something on you which the paramedics could just scan, they can get your whole medical history, blood type, blah, blah. It could save lives. And that's what they'll try and force it under, meanwhile taking all of your privileges and freedom at the same time. I'm not a fan of the whole where my idea is going. Business deals will be tokenized. Oh my God, I've been screwed in the arse so many times with business deals. It's almost hilarious how much bad luck I've had when buying and selling businesses. I'll give you the worst case. The worst case is I bought a satellite and aerial installation company, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It was great. Everything looked great. Until about a month in, I realized I literally just bought the worst train wreck ever. The director was an utter nightmare. He was running a limited company out of a personal bank account. That personal bank account wasn't even in his name. I was like, what? So what happened is he bought his director out, his co-director, a few years back. And he was still running this limited company out of his ex-director's personal bank account and had run up a 20 grand overdraft. I rang up this guy. I was like, did you know that thingy is still using your account? And he was like, no, I thought I closed it out. Nope. So he was running his business. He ran up a 20 grand overdraft on his old director's personal bank account, and he had no idea. No idea. And then there's way more. That is just the stuff I can share. And I've had like loads of other things. Like we bought the UK's oldest and biggest pottery manufacturer, Hudson and Middleton's. It had the royal seal. It was great. Everything looked great. And it was in liquidation or administration. And there were 45 staff, and we went in thinking we could save 20, 25 staff, get things going. It was great. It was in Stoke, massive kilns, it's huge. We went in, and by the way, the previous company, previous director who was milking it, ran up a massive debt with British Gas. We bought it out of administration. We tried to save 20-odd staff. We went in, all was good. And we had this website which had so much organic sales, it was great. Still supplying all the royal palaces. And then British Gas went, you owe us 325 grand or something like that. And we're like, no. We just bought this out of administration. That was the other director of this completely other company, which is now liquidated. That's who owes you the money. And they're like, nah, computer says no. You owe us 320 something grand. And I went, no. And they, well, okay, we won't turn the gas on until you settle the debt. Wait a minute. No. This is a new anyway, cue 6 months of fighting with British Gas, and eventually they went, oh, I see. Okay, you can have the gas on. By which point, we had already lost the royal seal. We had to turn off the website. At one point, we were literally selling stuff and then buying it at a loss from our main competitor just to fulfill orders. And then it was just an absolute cluster mess. And yeah, that was 100 grand, gone. Poof. I lost 50 grand. The other person we went into business with lost 50 grand. 6 months of no gas on a pottery company sort of hurts. Anyway, all this sort of stuff you can bypass with a smart contract. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait until business deals are tokenized like that with a smart contract, because then there's no back and forth. I mean, right now I'm in a legal case at the moment where, oh God, I'm just airing all my laundry here. No, let's move on. So, avatars. So I have spent, from the 1st of February 2021, along with Adam, we set up Geek Club. So every night I play Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, best game in the world. I've now amassed almost 2,000 hours on that game since February 2021. It's not healthy.
It's worth a round of applause, though.
yeah. Thank you. I'm still shit. But it would make me feel a lot better if that time equated into something which I could trade. Like, I remember when I used to play COD on the PlayStation, etc. I would spend hours playing COD. And with COD, you earn XP, so you get better weapons, better decals, better avatars, whatever. I think it's more of a thing on Fortnite. Well, what if all of that time I spent building up my avatar was worth something? Let's say I could build up my avatar on AoE. After 2,000 hours, it's going to be hopefully worth, AoE is the wrong one, but let's say COD. Okay, spend 2,000 hours on COD, you get better weapons, better upgrades, blah, blah, blah. There are people who will just buy your avatar just to level up 2 years worth of effort, just like that.
That's Nosedive, Black Mirror. That.
Yes, exactly. Watch Black Mirror, Nosedive, great. I think it's episode 1 of season 4. I love Black Mirror. But yeah, if you can basically, that would make me feel less guilty playing computer games if I could sell my avatars and stuff like that. I mean, people do it on Minecraft already. So yeah. But the secondary markets, there is literally an unimaginable amount of different things you can do in the secondary markets. Remember, an NFT is something that is a thing that you can give to someone, you can trade to someone, etc. I'm already looking at inheritance tax workarounds with NFTs, because there are ways that you can do that. Well, I don't know, it would be in a grey zone for the moment. But it's the secondary markets which are key here. And then debt, I've already talked about debt. So yeah, moving on, everything will be on your phone. I mean, it already is, but literally everything will be on an NFT, which your phone has access to, or you have access to. And you will own houses, stocks, tokens of stuff, and you have no idea who else owns it. You may even live in a house eventually where you own 30% of the house, and you have no idea who owns the rest of your house. Just like when you buy Apple shares, you have no idea who also owns that stock with you. No idea. Like, for example, I helped a business raise some money via Funding Circle, etc. And that person raised 67 grand from 1,200 odd people within like a month. This person was obviously happy for the money, but has no idea who the 1,200 people are. But still, raised money. And so, yeah, with the secondary markets, I mean, just take, let's say you tokenize your car, right? You don't have to own 100% of your car or your house. Well, there's going to be secondary markets where you can sell your car shares or your house shares, etc. As I said, trading chunks of your house, just like you do with crypto. And there'll be a whole secondary market of PMs, so portfolio managers, etc., where all of their activity on, I don't know, coin-based version of, for houses, etc., is there and open. So don't forget, you'll have all of your financial assets in NFTs on your phone to the point where you will have hundreds of different NFTs. Hell, there will probably be a website where someone is trading your old airplane tickets. I don't know. There's no doubt going to be some, portfolio manager expert that specializes in NFT British Airways tickets, just like people do baseball cards and stuff like that.
That's what, okay, that raises a question. So there are people, not me, but collect postage stamps.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Okay, and that's fine. So you can have blockchain to show, but how do you actually value it?
It's literally a case of getting someone who knows their stuff, like an official valuer, to come around, look at your stamps, go, yeah, I think this is worth. It's like Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah, I get that. So, but then what's it determined by? It's just the market?
Numismatic value.
Yeah.
That's it. Like with any antiques,
Yeah.
like with jewelry, etc. It's someone who's a professional in the space that
So it's the
says...
same in all of these secondary markets?
Exactly. But the thing is, when you have a secondary market like this, it takes the power away from those valuers. Because there will be a marketplace, like Coinbase, going, right, here is a plane ticket. What's it worth? It's only worth what the market is.
Decentralizing.
It's completely decentralized. And there'll be, people that specialize in all sorts of stuff. Like with jewelry, there is no secondary market with jewelry. But yeah. Yeah, postage stamps. I know someone that's got a big collection of postage stamps, doesn't know where to sell it. Wants to sell it, doesn't know how to value it, blah, blah, blah. And he got some valuation from someone, but it was like 70% less than what it's actually worth. But yeah, these are all illiquid markets. And guess what? You have all of these NFTs. You can use that as collateral. Ooh, this is where yield farming gets even sexier. Because all of a sudden, you can take all of your NFTs or whatever, and use them as collateral to buy stuff, lend off stuff. Then all of a sudden, you're basically buying a stock and turning it into a yield-generating asset, which then gives you a yield. There's so many things. As I said, everything will be tokenized. Right, how have I done? Yes, 5 minutes early. Let's have a break. No, I'm late. Shit. Damn it. I'm such a big mouth. If we could be back at 11:30, is that all right? Cool. Let's be back here 11:30. Thanks.